All right. So I'm here with Vince, who is a junior. And about how many history classes have you taken?
I've taken three. I've taken um, world history, AP human geography, and civics.
Nice. So I'm gonna show you some images from the past 100 years, like the 1920s to the 2020s. And the goal of this project is to understand what high school students know and think about history.
Okay.
So, what we're going to do, you can look at the pictures that I'm going to show you. You can say what you think it is or when you think it is, and it's okay if you don't know. And then after that, I'm going to have you choose which ones you thought were probably like the most important events, a few of them.
Yes.
And then, like, you can just choose one of those and tell me why it's important. And then I'm going to ask you, like, one of the ones you chose is not important to just why you think it's less important. And then I'm going to ask you a few other questions. And that's it.
Okay.
So, do you know what this picture is from?
Um. Well, that was the president, and um is that before he got like killed?
That's right. That's right before the assassination of JFK, which
Yeah.
was in about 1963.
Okay.
Do you know what these are from?
Was that the bombing in World War II?
Do you remember where it happened?
Hir- Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
That's right. And this was 1945, so it was right at the end of the war.
Yeah.
What about this?
Is that when President Obama became president?
Do you know why President Obama is significant?
Because he's the first African American president.
That's right. And that's his family with them. And that was 2008.
Cool.
Now, this one's a little different because it's kind of a drawing, but
Oh, it's the okay. In the Cold War, Russia put rockets at Cuba, right?
or we thought they did at least.
Oh, and that's where we thought they would go.
Because Cuba, it can reach like all these places in North
Yeah,
America. And they had kind of like a, they were talking to Russia, so things got really
yeah,
tense. And that was about 1963.
cool.
I mean, 1962. What about this?
Maybe when they were trying to make Hawaii a state.
Alaska and Hawaii became states in 1959, and so here's some of the people like advocating for them to become states. They came
So they were the
states the
last
same
two
year.
states. Uh,
What about this
well,
one?
is that maybe is that like NATO? When
This is close. It is an alliance. Well, it's the UN formation, the United Nations, when all like the countries
uh
came together at the end of the war in 1945. They have all the
uh
flags back there.
yeah,
What about you've probably seen this image before.
yeah, that's Martin Luther King, and he gave his speech.
And that was also 1963, like a bunch of these other ones
Oh,
in Washington and DC. What about this one?
was that? It's in a city. Was that maybe when 9/11 happened? Or
I'll
I
give you
don't
a
know.
hint. Look at these jackets and think about the colors in mom's office.
Oh, it's the Boston Marathon bombing.
That's right. That was in 2013.
Oh wow.
So this is kind of the aftermath. You can see all the smoke, all the security people.
Yeah.
What about this one?
That's when they first walked on the moon, and America was first.
That's right. It was 1969.
Yeah.
What about this one?
Hmm. That's hmm. We put our flag somewhere.
This one is to
For a war.
represent a war, yes. This was World War II. I believe this is in Japan that they're putting this up. And World War
Yeah.
II lasted like 6 years, 1939 to 1945.
Yeah.
This is a very old one.
Is that when women are trying to get the right to vote?
That's right. And it was around 1920. So a little over 100 years ago for this one.
Yeah.
What about this one?
That's the bombing of Pearl Harbor,
That's right.
and that started America in World War II.
1941. This one might be a little harder.
Is it a plane getting blown up?
Close. It was a spacecraft. In 1986, the Challenger exploded 73 seconds after taking off, and it killed all 7 crew members, and it was considered like the worst space accident in U.S. history.
Well,
What about this one? This one's also a little more difficult.
I'm not sure.
So this was the Montgomery boy bus caught when black people were like protesting the buses. So this is them walking to work every day for over a year. And it was like 1955 and 1956.
Wow.
What about this one?
They're pointing something out. Are they pointing out maybe a plane? I'm not sure.
This one is related to Martin Luther King as well.
I don't know.
This was when he got assassinated in 1968.
Oh.
This one is from like 2012, so you might not remember, but it was a big deal when this happened.
Was it a school shooting?
This was the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of it.
Was it the one where only 6 kids escaped?
I don't think so. It was like one of the first like really huge ones that everyone was talking about. Now this represents a war. Do you know what war it's representing?
Well, that was Russia back then. They were fighting everyone, but I'm not sure what the war would be called.
This was the Cold War. So no direct fighting, and it lasted from 1947 to 1991.
I thought the Cold War was just America and Russia.
It was basically, but there's allies, and this is considered like U.S. propaganda. So they're trying to show all the countries and citizens like Russia's gonna attack everyone.
Yeah. High Court man. That's when segregation was taken away.
This was Brown versus Board case in 1954, which desegregated our schools.
Yeah.
This one's pretty easy.
That one was 9/11.
2001. All right. So, which of those, and I can go back through if you need, would you like choose a few that you consider to be the most important?
I think one thing that's really important is the bombing of Pearl Harbor because it started us in World War II. That one's really important, and probably the "I Have a Dream" speech.
Choose maybe like 3 more.
Okay. The United Nations.
That's a good one.
Because that made a big alliance. And then also, probably when the soldiers put the flag down. Yeah, because they like won the war technically. And then probably the Cuba one. I think it was like the first one because like that was the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it probably like made the country freak out a lot.
And almost led us into nuclear war. So,
Yeah,
very, very scary time. All right,
yeah.
and now I'll choose one that you want to choose, and you can tell me why you think it's less important. So, why do you think um, this is less important than the others? Sandy hooks.
Well, the other ones, they were like a national threat. Like they like it could have been a nuclear war and destroyed the whole world, but this one, it was a shooting, but it wasn't as big as an impact. It was just a smaller area.
All right, and then do you think that this activity was easy or hard to do?
I think it was easy, and I knew most of them.
Very nice. Let's see, you told me which ones you thought were important. All right. How do you think your life would have been different if you were alive during the Cold War and you were seeing all this propaganda and everything?
You probably would have been more scared, and I think people wouldn't have acted as nicely then, because they would have all been like paranoid. Like even just like your neighbors wouldn't be as nice because they'd be scared of the Cold War happening.
It was a scary time. So, among the subjects you taken in school, where would you rank history in terms of your interest over the years? Would you say you were super interested, not at all interested, or just kind of average?
I say I was kind of average interested. Like it wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't my least favorite.
And why do you think we study history? Why is it important?
Um, well, it's important to know what happened in the past to know why things are now. Like it's important to know why America is where it is and all that, I think. And like also know why certain like laws happen. Like it's important to know why airplanes are protected so much because of 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Everyone complains about airport security, but it's because of our experience. It teaches us. What do you know what a primary source is and what a secondary source is?
Yeah, a primary source is right from like it's directly from the person that experienced it. Like it's that person's own words. And then a secondary source would be like it would be off of something else. Like they pulled like a secondary source that kind of looks at primary sources to like get its information.
And now this can be outside of the events I showed you, outside of US history, but in the whole history of the world, what do you think are the three most important events?
Hmm. Okay. One of them is Christopher Columbus discovering America.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say hmm, is like just while humans were alive.
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Is it like just while humans were alive?
You can do anything. This is a whole history.
Well, I would say like the asteroid hitting the dinosaurs, but that was a long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm. That can be one.
Okay, that and then Christopher Columbus discovering America because there's like a whole new continent.
Mm-hmm.
And then third, I would say honestly, I would say going to the moon because that like started us exploring space, and then like maybe in 1,000 years we would be like fully in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it leads to our future. Can you name
Yeah.
any significant women in history?
Um. Uh. Rosa Parks.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
What about, can you name
Who?
any historic historic significant documents?
Oh. Let me think. Mm, well, like I can't think of the name of a document, but I can think of documents.
What about something that kind of made some of our laws?
The Constitution.
Mm-hmm. That's one.
Yeah, that's one. And then the amendments.
Mm-hmm.
The I know there's like the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah, those were the before. All right.
Yeah,
So if you could meet anyone from the past, who would it be and why?
anyone from the past. Hmm. I think I'd want to meet. Oh, I'd want to meet Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Very influential.
Yeah.
Do you ever discuss things that happened before 1975 with your friends?
Um. hmm. World War II, maybe some like a little
Mm-hmm.
talking about World War II, and then I the other day we were talking about we were like, what really happened during World War One? Because I feel like I learned about World War II a lot, but not World War One.
Mm-hmm. So those were my history questions, and now I have a few about like government. So
Okay.
you said you've taken civics? Is that right?
Yeah, I took it
So
last.
where would you rank your interest in government and civics? Would you say really interested, not at all interested, or middle?
I'm not really interested in the government. I'd say not at all.
And like I asked about history, do you know like why is civics important? Why do we study it?
Well, it's important to know how our government works, so you know, like what rights you have and what you're
Mm-hmm.
able to do, and like what the government's able to do against you, and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big one. We want people to be aware of like their rights and the powers of the government when
Yeah,
they go out
like
into the world.
like knowing you're allowed to get a fair trial and like a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. And like your Miranda rights, like you can remain silent. It's all very
Yeah.
important. Um, what would you say are like the main features of the American political system? Like when you learn about the government, what are like the first things you talk about?
Learn about the government. Um, well, the three branches:
Mm-hmm.
judicial, executive, and wait, what's the third branch?
Legislative.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And those all balance each other.
yeah, they have checks and balances.
What would you say are our most important either rights or our responsibilities as citizens?
I think. Well, the biggest thing as a citizen is to vote. Like you should vote
Mm-hmm.
because that's like the say. That's the only say they have, like in the government.
That's
And
right.
then freedom of like speech and religion,
Mm-hmm.
so you can like do whatever you want, like and practice whatever religion you want.
And then what would you say does the government have a role in your everyday life?
Um, well, yeah, they do because they run the schools, they run everything, and like the roads, like, everything I use is like owned by the government. A lot of it.
And like you said before, like you have like freedom of speech, so you can say what you want.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll go through the Cold War again. This is the last content questions. Do you remember when the Cold War took place?
I think it was around the 1950s to 1970s.
Close. It was 1947 to 1991. It was a long time.
So even when our parents were alive.
Mm-hmm. They were alive during it. Do you know who was involved in this war?
Well, USA and Russia were the big ones,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cuba, and then I guess USA was trying to get other people to like help them in
They
the
were
war.
both trying to get allies. Um,
Uh,
do you know how or where this war was fought?
well, it wasn't ever like fought. Like they never fully fought, but I think in Korea, in North and South Korea, when they split, I know like USA was helping South Korea, China's helping North Korea, and I know like even some USA planes shot at China's planes, or not China, Russia's planes.
Yeah, the biggest thing about the Cold War is that there was no direct confrontation. It was all just
Yeah,
tension.
it was like they would help two different sides.
And when did the US become involved in this war?
I think they probably came involved around 1950.
Yeah, right at the beginning, because it was between Russia and the US, so they were kind of always involved. All right, thank you. Those are my questions.
Cool.